Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now we got another short update coming after the Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin fight, right? I told you who I think he's going to fight next, and that'll be John Ryder. I told you why in my last video. Bottom line is Canelo Alvarez beat Gennady Golovkin, that's for sure. I also told you in my last video that I think it's 1-1 and 1. One win for Golovkin, one win for Canelo, and one draw. That's how I see it, and probably closer to Golovkin with 2 wins, right? But at this particular time in the career, Canelo showed it, handled his business, and won the fight. Now, you got the backlash. I told you to fight, and what did I call it? Lackluster. It was a lackluster fight, whatever, because you got to understand, nobody wanted really the damn fight, right? I told you it's other people that Canelo should be fighting, and Golovkin too for the last years. We won't get into it in this video, but the bottom line is people weren't craving or clamoring for that fight, right? They had it anyway. Now they messed around, and it was boring for most people, right? If you're going to consider, other people boring, then that would be boring. Now, not Tyson Fury versus Vladimir Klitschko boring, right? But, you would have to put it in the drawer where the boring fights are, right? Or the ones especially that a lot of mainstream media consider or call boring. Then it would fit in that category, I'm sure. So that's what's coming back. You got people, I think Steph Curry, who's a nice guy, who's playing around saying the fight put him to sleep, right? Right, I think he's going to get backlash for that because you shouldn't say that about a Canelo and Golovkin fight, right? That's what they're going to say. But, Steph Curry weighed in on it, even though him and Canelo Alvarez, they're cool. It was just, I guess, a joke over the internet, is what I'm hearing. And, Oscar De La Hoya, the promoter from Canelo Alvarez. Oscar then came out and just said, listen, I almost went to sleep. My girl had to touch me for me to wake up, right? Those are things that you wouldn't normally say. Now, people will say, well, him and Canelo are against each other and whatever now and are rivals. I don't know. I just think once you don't have to have your promoter hat on anymore, then you can tell the truths. And you got to remember when the breakup for Canelo comes. If it was Canelo's breakup with DAZN, the first one, when he had the 10 fight deal, was when DAZN said, hey, you can't have no more yield rooms and stuff like that. We got to get some hard fights in here so we can recoup our money. Canelo wanted out. They were talking about Demetrius Andrade, basically, because Demetrius Andrade was signed also at DAZN. And Canelo was like, I'd rather get out of my contract than fight Demetrius Andrade. So he wants out. And the same thing happened when Oscar De La Hoya just started mentioning, hey, if Canelo is going to really be great, he's going to have to fight Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, right? And I know people are like, well, have to, right? Because you could like some Canelo. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when you do a documentary on Demetrius Andrade or Jamal Charlo, right? For Jamel, to a lesser extent, but not as much because he stayed at 154. Canelo hasn't been there for a while. So, okay, we'll give him a pass on Jamel. But Jamal and Demetrius Andrade, they've been there from day one. And you do a documentary on either one of those guys, and you're going to be talking about a timeline from 2013 to 2021, 2-2. Undisputed, or let's say a champion in this weight, taking on all challengers, try to get his rivals, and his rivals went in another direction. And you're going to start talking the timeline. 2013 to whenever his career is over, 2028, right? And that's going to be the same damn timeline as it is for Canelo, right? And, the same weights that you don't have that, man. For no legends, there's never nothing like that with legends. They've always fought. The only big time fighters that had the same career going on at the same time that really didn't fight was probably Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis. Most of the time, somebody gonna fight. I got a smaller one for you guys. Roy Jones Jr. versus Darius Mizkowski. I know a lot of people underestimate that one, but that would have been a good fight when they were both undefeated. But Darius Mizkowski was in Germany by way of Poland, and they didn't want to go stateside. And Roy Jones, I've been cheated once I left the States, so he wasn't leaving. So that didn't happen either. But other than that, most of the time, when you have an awesome run, you're gonna have fought the rivals in your division. That's what's up there. So, that's what Oscar De La Hoya is talking about. And so, Oscar De La Hoya, what you going to do, get mad at him? Because he can say, well, that's what I did with my career. You know what I mean? So basically, Canelo Alvarez is going to have to step up and fight somebody right now, or he's going to never be called the best pound for pound fighter by anybody who has substance behind their thoughts process. So let's see what happens. I thought that might be interesting. Canelo's fight with Gennady Golovkin was considered boring, and to be honest, it really was. But the thing about it is I don't really like to call fights boring, right? Because there's significance in the fight. Like Canelo and Gennady Golovkin, some people would have a major significance there because they both had good careers. I'm going on about the people they didn't fight, of course, but them still, without having fought Andre or Charles, or both of them, they still are going to be remembered as great fighters. So therefore, that fight was significant. And when you have so much significance in a fight, then I don't call it boring, right? That's why I wasn't going to call Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao boring. The fight was way too significant. And then if you watch that again, that was a masterpiece from Floyd Mayweather. And to just go and call that boring, that was a masterpiece from Floyd Mayweather in that fight. But anyway, yeah. Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin was boring. Oscar De La Hoya went to sleep and had to be touched just to wake up. Steph Curry done fell asleep too, so that's where you're going. So the next fight should be a good one. Now, if you want, this is why I'm telling this John Ryder, because Canelo gonna have to dominate somebody. I mean, and look flash and get him up out of there. Sounds like a John Ryder, don't you think? Dope Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.